So in today's video, we've got Seth with us, and we are continuing our playlist Hey about used books, and actually how to use Keepa to find used books. So it's a bit labour intensive, but it's gold, isn't it? Because so few people know how to use Keepa to find used books. So I think the other ones we've done are deals, alerts, and the graph. And today it's the data something. I can't remember what it actually is.
The product finder under the data tab. So it's part of the paid subscription. So you do need to have a paid subscription to Keepa, which I always advise everyone has because it's utterly essential if you're a bookseller and just an Amazon seller in general.
Yep.
But so this is a way of hoarding ASINs and good books to profitable books to find, because you can essentially drill down exactly what you want to look for, and we'll explain it now. So this is the main Keepa page, obviously, and you'll go to the data tab.
Is this the one you use out of everything? Is this your primary go-to?
This is probably my favorite so I teach on my page that you want to be building ASIN lists, so that we talked about in one of the other videos that you want as many replenishables in this business as possible, and this tool is a great way of building a list of books or ASINs which you will hopefully be able to find again and again by setting Keepa alerts from the ones you find with this product finder. So under the data tab, we've got the product finder here, and it gives you a little description here that you might want to read through, but you want to anything which we discussed in the last video that you can search for in Keepa. So whether it's the used average price, the Amazon price, the sales rank, the amount of offers the book or item has had, you can plug into here. So for example, the top row here, we've got the current sales rank, the 30-day right up to the 180-day average. And what I'll do is, if I want to find any book that's under 100K, I'll just type in 1 to 100K here.
In the 180-day average, do you want to go a bit further out? Okay.
Yeah, so that's the maximum you can do, because that's their maximum that they offer with their API. So I will, and I want to know, I want a book that's kind of more reliably high. So if I put 1 to 100K in the current, I might get some books that are way over 100 because someone's just bought it a minute ago and that's brought it from, say, 700 down to 100. So this is a way of making it more reliable.
I'm not a very big fan. I'm an arbitrager. I'm not a used bookseller, but I almost don't even include BSR in my look because it's such a snapshot as 1 second in time. So
exactly, yeah.
Is 180 days does that mitigate that? Does that make it sort of a more usable metric?
It makes it more usable. A lot of booksellers who want fast moving inventory will try to target books under 500K on the 180-day average. I don't stick to that necessarily, but I would like to buy as many books as possible under 500. But the great thing about this tool is you can just not search via this, and you could just search via price if you wanted to. Okay. I just do this to narrow it down a bit more, so that when we put it into Excel, we've got a few less results that are a bit more personalized to what you want. So once I've searched via sales rank and the average that I want, I will go to the used price, either the used or the used good. It doesn't really matter too much. But if I say want all books that are worth $200, right, up to $99.99, I can search all books that are $200 to $99.99, right?
What?
So that means
buy on Amazon right this second?
Well, the 180-day average,
right.
of where that book is. And
so 200 just seems really high. Can you just explain why it's such a high starting number?
So I'm just running through 200 just for this example to show you how this tool works in terms of being able to drill down. So we can currently see on the bottom right that this result, this query, is going to produce just under 36,000 results, and that's across all categories. Okay.
Sorry, you're a bit stupid. Now, if you change that from like to 500, I assume that number will. Yeah. I didn't know that existed in the bottom. That makes a lot of sense now.
This didn't used to exist. It's relatively recent, and it changed the game really, because now it's gone from 35,000 to just under 13,000.
Wow. Okay.
So that's super useful because for viewers, you can only export 10,000 at a time. So there's no point in us running the search because we're going to miss out on 2,800.
And
Right.
I suppose
So
each line is like a filter, isn't it? So you're kind of funneling down.
exactly. You're trying to narrow down your search as much as possible to find those books that are really going to be worth buying when you can find them. So if we put it back to 200, obviously, if you're happy to buy a book that's got an average price of $40, then you'd put 40 in there. And you'd go, if you're just a bookseller, you'd scroll down here, keep scrolling down, and then you can choose your category. So obviously we're going to choose books, and then this will narrow it. So look, now we've only got 16 products.
Wow.
Okay, so let's bring this down to 100, just because we're going to drill down a little bit more. So I like to keep my searches really broad because I just want to be available. I want to buy as many books as possible, right? So I know 279 is not very much, but that's because we're still looking at $100 value books. So what I usually do is sales rank, used price, books category, obviously. And then I like to maybe filter on the amount of offers there are on average, because that's a key indicator of, how often another seller's been on the listing, how competitive it is. So I might do something like, I won't go for the current, because like we said, it's not necessarily very reliable. So I'll go for the 90-day average, like 1 to 20 offers or something. And that's brought us down to 211 from 279. So it's another nice way of filtering. We know that these 211 books are probably better than the ones we've just shaved off there because there's less people on the listing. Yeah. These are less competitive. And then usually I'll just run this. So I'll find the products now. There is a quota in the top right, by the way, so you can't keep doing this all day but you near enough can. I think it's that 100% is like 20,000 books or something like that, 20,000 items. So now that we've got this table loaded up,
it goes up every hour, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, you can
in the morning and miraculously got yourself down to something like 10%.
Yeah,
do it again in the evening, can't you?
Exactly. Yeah, so it's
for the next day.
It's near enough, like unlimited, and I think you can also buy more if you are really data hungry. So
I don't think I could consume that much data. I don't think I can add information.
I don't think I've ever got below 20% anyway, so it's fine really. It's good enough for most sellers.
I got down to like 60% once, and I got nervous. So 10%, it's mad.
Fair enough. So once we're on the results page, I think I've got this configured here. We explained this on the other videos, but you want to configure it to show the columns that you prefer to look at, so that there'll be a lot of rubbish, in my opinion, which isn't useful for you. So I've got it down to as little columns as possible. You can see I've got quite a small table here. Usually the scrolling to the right would be really long.
Yep.
So all I want is the current new Amazon and used price, and then the averages on the used prices really, and the averages on the Amazon price.
Yep.
And we've got the sales rank as well. And I do also have the weight, because I kind of not that bothered about looking at books that are over 10 kilograms, because then it's just a bit of a nightmare with shipping. But you don't have to filter by that. And then all you do is you just export it. You want to set your rows to the max possible, so 5,000, but obviously we're less than that anyway. And then you export it. I won't export this one because we've got one that we made earlier, just before the video started, right? And I'll open that up here. So this is a result that we pulled up. This is less than 100K on the sales rank average, and books that have averaged $100 or more. And this is just an example of how it will look in the table.
You exported that to Excel, so you can export it to Google Docs or Google Sheets, can't you, or something like that? You don't need any software or anything. It's just bang straight into Excel.
It will give it to you in Excel or a CSV here, and then you can either choose to pull all the columns or just the ASINs.
Okay.
So I export all the active columns. Obviously, you want to have Excel, because otherwise, I guess you could convert that to a Google Sheet, couldn't you? But preferable to have Excel, I guess.
Awesome.
And then it will just give you that table in an Excel format. And the only difference here is that then you can copy and paste as much as possible and play around with the data. If you're a bit more proficient, you can do a pivot table and maybe only choose books where the Amazon price is above a certain amount, that sort of thing. We won't go into too granular detail because that will bore people, but I just wanted to illustrate what this tool is capable of, because for example, what you can do is you could copy all of those ASINs, you could plug them into a Google Sheet and slowly go through each one and maybe set a keeper alert for each one, right?
Yep.
And then if you do 50 of them a day, or if you just do 20 or 30 a day, you're getting nearly 1,000 alerts a month.
Yep.
You know, so you're slowly building your list, you're building your replenishables.
Going into too much detail, which columns would you, how would you work out what orders? Would you literally do them 1, 2, 3, 4, or would you sort one of the columns? What, can you just take us a little bit through your process?
Yeah, so I would probably make sure that we haven't.
No order at the moment, is it? That just is how it came out of Keepa.
This is in absolutely no order, yeah. So you will. So
what
I like to do is I want to make sure that there's no kind of rogue books on there where the Amazon price is maybe really low, but we just haven't filtered for that well enough, which obviously you could filter for in the previous bit, but just for illustration's sake, we can obviously
you can filter literally anything. So when I run this
in Excel,
my OA replenishables, one of the filters I use is Amazon out of stock, and I filter anything that's more than 25%. So I want Amazon to be in stock less than 25% of the time, because if it's 99, it means Amazon's in stock 99% of the time, and I'm not interested. So I filter them and then just remove it out the spreadsheet.
Wait, what do you filter that?
It said Amazon
on Keepa.
Yeah,
yes.
Amazon out of stock. So I want Amazon to be out of stock more than 25% of the time, which means that there's a fair chance that they're sharing the buy box, or they're not keeping their stock levels high. So you can filter whatever you have in your business. It's completely unique to your personal goals and budget and strategy.
Totally. Whatever Keepa has as data, you can filter. So your example there, we could have filtered on the tab just there on the product finder, only search for books which Amazon aren't on, or are only on 10% of the time. So it just shows how powerful this tool is. You can go as granular as you want. And this is where our chat before becomes more kind of salient, because it's all about getting creative.
Yep.
You want to run searches that other people aren't running. Maybe you want to go for the higher ranked books, but the ones that have got less offers, or that you can go crazy on it. You just got to think outside the box. But that's what you've got to do with this, because you want to build your ASIN list that people aren't looking at, right? Yep. But so, for example, we've got the used good 180-day average. So we've got a few here that are less than $100, right? And that's because we filtered by used and not used good.
Yep.
So what I'd do is I'd filter this by ascending, and I'd just get rid of the ones that are just too low for me. So I'm not really bothered about books.
Did you do what I do? So I filter it, and then I come to the cutoff point of, I don't know, maybe $60, and I'll just delete below it, and then I filter everything and delete everything below it until my list of 2,000 things comes down to 50. And I just keep cutting, literally like over and over and over again.
Exactly. Yeah, that's 100% the way that I do it as well. So I do the used good, the used like new, the used very good. Make sure there's nothing too low there. Also, the new average, I'll check that, and then the Amazon as well, to make sure that there isn't anything that shouldn't be there. And then you should be left with this really, really great selection of products that you can then go in and set Keepa alerts for. You can then do your eBay save searches if you want. You can set them on other websites.
So what would you take? Would you take the ASIN to then go back into Keepa? How would you go from here back to Keepa for your alerts?
So I have a massive ASIN list in a Google sheet that's about 40,000 ASINs long by this point. So
oh my God, that's keep you busy for a long time.
Yeah. So what I like to do is I copy the ASINs in, and then I copy the used good average price, the 50% of the used good average 180-day price, so that I know at that point, at that snapshot in time, I want to buy that book at this price. So my Google Sheet's very simple. It's just ASIN, price I want to pay for it. And obviously that is changing all the time.
Yeah.
But it's a good ballpark to start with, to know that if I can find this book for under 50, I'm quids in and I'm going to be making money, kind of thing.
So you use your spreadsheet as your basis to run your alerts?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
and yeah,
What, see,
across all platforms.
it sounds incredibly, I mean, I'm a bit of a book geek and I'm a bit of a spreadsheet geek. So for me, I'm happy to spend all day doing it. But for someone who maybe isn't that way inclined, it does sound really laborious. Why bother? What does it give you that going into this depth and Keeper doesn't?
Yeah, so this is more of an advanced technique, and it's more of the one that I would advise intermediate booksellers who have used the deals page.
Right.
So if people don't know the deals page, they need to watch our last video together. That's a great starting point, because the deals page is a snapshot of this. It's just a smaller version of this. So I advise people to start with deals, and if they like that, if it's a sourcing technique that they can spend hours doing, then they're going to love this, because this is just a slightly more complex but advanced, and there's more profits potentially available. It just takes you a little bit longer because you've got to build a list. You're not going to get rich tomorrow. You're not going to find profitable books next week. But imagine in 6 months' time, if you keep going in and doing it, every few days, and you start building your list of highly like books that are worth a lot of money, and you can start slowly finding them, getting the replens, then you'll get to a point where you've got really great books coming into your inbox like I do now, and I'm spending less.
So your alerts, how many alerts do you get pinged to you every day, for example? I know quite a volume seller.
Yeah, it depends on the time of year, but for example, I will wake up. I always wake up quite early just to capitalize on the US market, because they're obviously a few hours behind. So if I wake up at 5 or 6, I will have 100 emails to look through. Not all Keeper. It'll be a mixture of Keeper, books.
So this is a complete, I know we're going a bit advanced here, but what do you do, 50k a month or something? You don't get that without some advanced techniques.
Exactly,
so this is a way to completely self-sustain it's like a never-ending deal sheet that's completely personalized, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Personalized deal sheet that you've created. It's near enough free. I mean, it's not free, but it's pretty cheap.
Labor, just time.
Yeah, it's your time. You've got to be on your email a lot, but most people have got emails on their smartphones, right? It's a business. It's a business when you've got Wi-Fi and a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop. It's constantly there for you.
Could you outsource some of this to a VA if you didn't really want to spend? If you knew,
you could.
Obviously this works. If you didn't want to spend the time doing it, could you outsource this to a VA? Do you have to do it yourself?
Yeah, you totally could. So what I could do, I'll tell you why I haven't, but what you could do is you could have all your email alerts forwarded to your VA, give your VA a business credit card, debit card, and then they could buy for you. The only reason I haven't done that is just because I actually enjoy sourcing, and I've got to a size of my business going to do 500k, more than 500k this year, just over, and I like it, and I don't feel the need to hire anyone, and I don't work that many hours, right? And I'm focused on other things. But if you wanted to scale it, you definitely could. You could hire 4 or 5 VAs to do this sort of stuff that we're talking about in the video, to do the deal stuff, to take over your buying.
Yeah.
But one massive point I'd note is that you really need to understand the book market intimately before you train your VA, and it'll be the same with your business as well.
Anything in a VA, because the VA will come to you and ask questions, and you need to know
exactly
inside out, because your VA is only ever an extension of you, and you will share your strengths and weaknesses and blind spots, or he. So why do you, like, for me, because I've never been in the used book market, it would be quite methodical and take quite a lot of time. You've been doing this for a couple of years now. Can you literally kind of almost skim like you would a document just to find the good ones? Does it get easier the more you do it? Do they jump out? Because when I go and do an RA trip, I can spot deals all over the shop, and I can be in and out in, like, an hour, half an hour to an hour, with basket and bags and trolleys full, because I can go, they just sort of jump out at me. Is this the same?
You definitely get an eye for it on the deals page. This is obviously more of a long-term play, and because you're looking at loads of rows of data, it's not necessarily going to be that sort of, oh, there's going to be a deal there as much. You could definitely get to a point where you're better at pooling data just by the search queries you're running. You'll start to know that you're pulling better Excel exports kind of thing. But that's why I advise the deals, start with the deals, get really good at sourcing through that, and then work your way up to this.
So you can
But
almost do this with hiding column B. It doesn't actually matter what the book is, does it? You're working
no, you
literally off
don't
the
need the
numbers.
title.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what title the book is. It's literally like a numbers game, isn't it? It's volume and
The
numbers.
only reason I have this is sometimes I should have explained this earlier, I'll filter out certain things. So
Okay.
maybe access cards. You don't necessarily you want to avoid buying access cards
What's an
because
access card?
so college students in the US, they might not buy a book, but they'll buy an access card, which gives you online access to the book. So you can just like get
Oh,
the
okay.
ebook. But
Yeah.
obviously, it's super easy for a customer to buy it, scratch the code off, send it back, and say this didn't work.
Oh, okay.
So you shouldn't really buy access cards, and there's a lot of them on the market. So I've sold a few in the past and I've been fine, but
Yeah.
it's lessening your risk if you avoid them. So there's certain things that I'll avoid. I'll probably filter out box sets because I was talking about the weight thing. I'm not bothered about that. So there's certain things that you'll learn that you want to filter out, but generally, yeah, you don't need column B massively. It's just for a few things like that.
Wow. So like you can basically run your whole business to $500,000 a year using Keepa predominantly as your base point source.
I would say you could get to $500,000 a year, yeah, with
Wow.
Just Keeper. Obviously, I use other tools, but this is the tool that I use predominantly. This is the one that I like to teach because it's got the most data. It's just the most reliable.
Awesome.
It's just a great tool.
Brilliant. Well, exciting. So I think we've got another one to do. We haven't finished our series. I think we've got another one to do yet, haven't we, in Keeper? I think
I think so. I can't remember exactly what we're going to be looking
this
on,
is
but
number 4. So if we've referred to anything and you're like, what's alerts or what's deals or what's the Keeper graph, this is part of the playlist. So just have a look at the videos before or after. But we will go through every element of Keeper that helps for used booksellers. Until the next one, thank you so much. I've learned quite a lot. Thank you so much. Take care.
thanks for having me.
Bye.